Hey everyone, thanks for joining. I'm Oscar. I'm one of the product managers here on the watsonx Code Assistant team. And today I'm going to be talking about our product, the watsonx Code Assistant. But before I get into it, first I want to talk about why do we create it in the first place? Well, as everyone here knows, there's a lot of technical debt in the IT space, even here at IBM. It's simply because coding practices are constantly evolving and technologies are being released faster than even we can keep up with. So given this, it makes sense that if you ask business executives how many of them actually believe that modernizing their applications is critical to their success, 83% of them will agree that they say, I believe it. But then if you look at these same businesses, how many of them have actually modernized their workflows? Well, you'll be surprised that it's only 27% of them. 27%. And why is this? Why the big discrepancy? Well, it's because modernizing complex and outdated systems is simply resource intensive, it's complex, and it costs a lot. So we need to move quickly though, because in just 3 years, by 2028, because of generative AI, there's going to be 1 billion net new applications. And ultimately, this means there's more code that we need to modernize, more code that we need to manage. And for that pile of technical debt that I just mentioned, well, it's only going to increase. So this breeds a problem, which is how do we make developers like you more productive without adding to technical debt? Well, now with generative AI, we believe that we finally have the answer. But before we dove into it and started making a more generalist solution, we wanted to make sure that we got our approach correct first. So we started with what we're most familiar with. In our case, it's mainframes and Red Hat's Ansible Lightspeed. We built these products from the ground up, and we know them inside and out. Within the past year or so, we launched 2 code assistants, one for Z, one for Red Hat Ansible Lightspeed, 2 separate ones. And internally and externally, we saw a lot of success. Users love them, and we broke a lot of records internally. So now we felt ready and confident for a next step, which is our watsonx Code Assistant, a more generalist solution. But we also wanted to focus in on what we're really good at. So we know that we serve thousands and thousands of enterprise Java customers, and we've been doing it for multiple decades now. We know their pain points really well, especially as they relate to Java modernization or modernizing their legacy applications. And at the same time, though, we also recognize that Java developers have a lot of same pain points as other developers. Maybe it's not Java, maybe other languages, other roles in the development lifecycle. Regardless, all developers share the same underlying core pain points. So we went ahead and did 2 things. The first was for our Java customers. We solved their modernization use cases really well. The second thing we did was for general developers. Across the development lifecycle, across languages, we solved their core programming pain points as well. And we combined both of these 2, inside one solution, the watsonx Code Assistant, and we powered it on top of our Granite code model, which is completely open sourced, trusted, and transparent, and focuses in on 7, we call them tier 1 languages. So Java, C++, C, Python, JavaScript, TypeScript, and Go. So like our model, the Code Assistant revolves around trust, transparency, and privacy. And we put our money where our mouth is too. Internally, we've been using the Code Assistant for many months now in our development teams, and even the development team on the Code Assistant uses the Code Assistant. So in a way, it also kind of builds itself. If this doesn't show how much we trust it, we also will go ahead and guarantee IP indemnifications against any AI-generated code. And proactively, we included a code similarity score. So this means anytime code is generated, we run a scan behind the scenes to see how close is what we're about to generate to how close does it resemble something in the training data. If it's too close, then we'll block it. So let's see what some of the features that it can do. And I'll preface this by saying that I'm going to show some demos later, so I'm going to go more fast through these. But one of the core features is generating code. There's 2 ways to do this. You can do it in the IDE, or inside the editor in the IDE, or in the chat window. And to start with, watsonx Code Assistant is going to be offered on both VS Code and Eclipse, with more IDEs to come this year for both on-premise and SaaS deployment options. And so after you generate code, or maybe if you want to ask a question about something in the chat window, you can use it. You can use natural language to answer any questions, whatever you want. And one of the use cases may be if you want to understand your code. So this is really helpful for a very common use case that I'm sure every developer has, which is when you're joining a new code base for the first time, and maybe it's undocumented, maybe there's hundreds of thousands of files or lines of code, and you just don't know what's going on. It's really overwhelming. I know for me, my internship last summer, it was exactly like this. So this is the exact situation where watsonx Code Assistant can deliver immediate value. Now, it doesn't matter if something's overly complicated, something's undocumented, it just doesn't matter because you can click a few buttons and generate a concise natural language summary of the code. Now, as I said before, generating code and generating new content is great, and it can really augment your productivity. But if it's left unchecked, then remember that technical debt that we were talking about earlier, it'll do nothing but only increase it. So this was a core motivation behind our modernization features. To power our Java modernization features, we actually included a new Java fine-tuned model. So behind the scenes, every time you're using Java, this model will kick in. Every time you're not using Java, it'll go to the other Granite Code model. So in using this model, we cover two new modernization use cases. The first is automated Java upgrades. Now you can automatically upgrade your Java versions between older ones to newer ones and transform your Java runtimes from IBM's WebSphere into Liberty. Also, for core Java use cases, such as code explanations and unit testing, you can take advantage of this model to generate higher quality use cases, higher quality test cases, and code summaries. But also, regardless if it's not for Java, watsonx Code Assistant will cover you from start to finish across languages, across stages in the development lifecycle. And externally and internally, we've seen a lot of success. Internally, every year, we host a hackathon. And this year, or I guess last year, the winning team used the Code Assistant to help them take on a very daunting task, which was they were a small team of developers, and they wanted to document every single file that lacked documentation in 50 new code repositories. That's pretty crazy because even a big team, that would still take many weeks. Now, of course, our hackathon is not weeks. So they used AI and they were able to do what would have taken weeks in just a few hours. That's incredible. It also equated to 750 files too, which is just, it's really incredible. Externally, RCube, one of our business partners from Morocco, they've seen similar success. One of their services is helping their customers modernize their runtimes, their Java runtimes. So a lot of their customers have been wanting to modernize from WebSphere to Liberty, and it's been straining their bandwidth. So they turned to watsonx Code Assistant to help them modernize 80% of their customers' runtimes without a hitch. And I'm actually going to show you that right now. So, I'll show this slide later. But right now is one of our demos. And we have a Java backend. This is for a resort website, and it's a little outdated, Java 8, WebSphere. And so we want to modernize it. And now, don't worry, I know this is a 30-minute demo, but this will only take a few minutes because we have very powerful modernization features. So the first we're going to do is we're going to upgrade the Java version. We just click Upgrade Java version, and this is from a previous session. But the landing page should look like this. So we have our source and identified we're in Java 8. We want to go to 21. We click Build and Analyze. And behind the scenes, it's running an analysis, trying to figure out what issues are there that we need to fix. And this is a bit of a bigger application, so it was just taking some time. But on the dashboard, you'll see that we have technical reports, different types of reports if you want to see different information. And then you have two types of issues. We have automated fixes and assisted fixes. Automated fixes are ones that we know how to fix automatically. They're ones that we've seen before, and we know more or less what the right solution is. So we can click a button and Those are easy to fix. Assisted fixes are ones that we don't know how to solve, and we need the power of generative AI. So if we open up one of them, it says go to this file. We're in that file. And it says highlight this method, get ops, and then click help me. So I click help me, and you'll see on the left, it opens up a chat window. Now this chat window, it also entered in a prompt and supply context behind the scenes of what we just highlighted. And it's asking watsonx Code Assistant, given this issue that we don't know how to solve, can you come up with a brand new solution? And it did. So we'll copy and paste it in. Copy and paste it. And then a similar thing can be said about this issue. Now, it's a problem with this do-get method. It wants us to highlight it and then click help me, but it's going to be the same process. So I'm just going to move on to the next part of it. So let's say now that our Java is now upgraded and we're fully satisfied, but we want to test it. We want to generate some tests because we're good developers. We have good practice. So let's generate some unit tests. And we click unit test right there, and it opens up automatically in the chat window. That's basically like a shortcut. So now it's generating a whole bunch of unit tests. And remember, I said before, every time you're using watsonx Code Assistant on a Java application, it's running the fine-tuned Java model behind the scenes. Now, you don't need to manually choose what model am I going to use between Java and non-Java. We take care of that automatically. And something cool about generating unit tests and code explanations in Java is there's a separate framework going on. This one is higher coverage, so it should produce a lot of unit tests, as we can see. And this tries to cover every single edge case and main use case. And we would just copy this into a test file and run it. But I also want to show you something else. Also, let me discard these changes because I need this same file. So I want to show you something else. We just generated unit tests. We just modernized to Java 21, but we're still on WebSphere. So let's go to Liberty. So I'm going to right click and click modernize to Liberty. So similar process as the last one. And this is from a previous session. So let me show you the landing page. It says, do you have a migration bundle? I do. So let me upload it. Wrong one. Okay, I uploaded it. Migration bundle, basically, it's something if you have Transformation Advisor, another IBM service, what we recommend. And it has some files that helps guide the modernization into Liberty. So it's using these files and okay, perfect. As you can see, very similar dashboard. We have the reports, and we have the issues. We have the automated fixes and assisted fixes. So let's run these automated fixes. Should be fairly quick. Okay, and then we have assisted fixes. Again, it says this file is problematic. Specifically, this method is problematic. You want to click highlight and then click help me, and then hopefully we'll come up with a solution. And I just want to reiterate that this is all within the span of a few minutes for a brand new, pretty intense Java backend application. I think normally without the power of this tool and generative AI, it would have taken even the most experienced developer at least an hour. That's probably very optimistic, actually. Not every developer is that productive. But this just goes to show the potential time savings and productivity augmentation. So it generated some instructions. We copy and paste this in here, and then we would add this, I guess, this into the dependency file or pom.xml file. So these are some of the Java modernization features. We have modernization into Liberty, as well as Java upgrades. And then you can generate unit tests and code explanations, but this is part of the Code Assistant. As I said before, not only do we focus on reducing technical debt, but we also cover core features. So here's another demo. Now this time we're gonna pretend that we're a junior developer, and this is a Java backend. Let me open up a file. This is a Java backend of a newspaper website. It allows people to create accounts, log into those accounts. But right now it's just a backend, so our task is to create a front end for it, so users can create accounts. And again, pretend we're a brand new user. So we've never seen this before. So let's run all the tests to see how it performs. So we're running the tests. Oh, what I forgot to do actually is downgrade the Java version. So let me enter in a command. Because these demos, they work with different Java versions. So now this should work. Okay, it's running the tests. And okay, one of them failed. That's interesting. So I guess we have another task, which is to first debug it. So let's take a look at the test report. And it says that in the failed tests, this test specifically failed inside user API test. So let's go into user API test. And here it is. Here's that method. And it's saying that, well, it looks like it's trying to create an account and verify that it worked. So let's go into create user then inside user API. And great. This is the exact situation I was talking about before. It's a brand new code base and it's undocumented. And if you don't know what you're looking at, well, neither do I. I mean, this is our first time looking at it. But it's also okay because we can just click on explain in the code lens, and then it'll generate a concise code explanation. So while it's loading, let me also explain some of the UI here in the chat window. So we have our chat session. I happen to use it a lot. So I have 125 sessions, and you can go to any previous session if you want, generate a new chat. And something we have is a prompt library, which is pretty neat. So let's say if you want to start a new session with JavaScript, Golang, something else if you want. You can easily copy and paste this. And these prompts that have been proven to work or work best, you can modify them to your liking and use it to jumpstart your new workflow. And then you can also like or dislike a message, which helps train the model on better responses. But anyway, let's look at the response here. So it says, every time a user or account is successful, generate a status code of 404. That is incorrect. So thank you for pointing that out. And now let's test out all the tests again. It should work. And while it's doing that, I'm also going to click document to generate some documentation. So everything has explain, document, unit test. We call this the code lens. It's a shortcut from using our slash commands. And we're going to copy and paste this documentation in here. The slash commands, you click slash, it has different commands. So I think they're pretty self-explanatory. We used unit tests, document, explain already. Docs will use our internal documentation to help give some more context for your prompt, and translate goes from one language to another. So now that it works, let's start up this server and actually begin to build out the front end. Okay, it's working. And let's start a new chat session because we're starting our front end on. Okay, so now I'm going to copy and paste in a prompt because this would take too long for me to type. But what I did was I copied and pasted that API endpoint that we just debugged. And I also said, here is a curl command for how to call it. And now my request is, can you make an HTML file given this context that allows users to create accounts? And also create a greeting message depending on if it was successful or not. So there's 4 things going on here. And oh, that was fast. there's 4 things going on here. Let's see how it does. So let's format it. And then, oh, we don't need this. It looks good. Let's test it out. So now we're here. Let's reload. And let's create a username. Let's call it Tech Exchange. techexchange@ibm.com. And I'm not going to tell you the password. So it says user created successfully. That's great. We know it works, which is also pretty incredible because I definitely could not have done that in, 20 seconds, 30 seconds? And I don't think any developer could have, especially a junior developer. I think that would have taken at least an hour, probably more. But as we saw, right now it's a bit clunky and the UI is pretty rudimentary. So let's fix that. So the first thing we're going to do is separate the script into its own file. And behind the scenes as it's running, it's using the code similarity score to see, is the code that I'm about to present to Oscar, is it going to get him in trouble if it's too similar? And if it is, well, let's not show it. But in this case, it's looking like it's fine. Great. It is create user. And then the last thing we want to do is fix the UI as well. So let's use CSS to make it look nicer. And I realize this is a pretty broad request, so look nicer could mean a lot of things. So let's take a look at how it does. I think overall it looks pretty good, except I personally like more white space. So I'm just going to add more there. But given such a broad request or generic one, I think it did pretty well. And then I also wanted to connect this to the HTML file, kind of like how it did here. I could search it up, but if I have an intelligent peer programmer right here, why not take advantage of it? So I'll just copy and paste that in. We call it styles. And let's see how it does. So this is the before. And let's go to the after. That's a lot better. So just to prove that it works, well, also proving to myself that it works, let's see. The password is ABC. So now, okay, this is expected. Why is it expected? Because we just use the same credentials as before. So this double verifies that it works, but let's create a new username. Let's make it TechExchange2. And now it says user created successfully. That was really incredible. In just a few minutes, we modernized a old Java application, both in terms of upgrading the Java version and also bringing it from WebSphere into Liberty. And then we debugged another Java application. These are both brand new to us. And then we built the workings of our front end on top of it. Now, it may be a fundamental one, but it does serve as a foundation of something that you can quickly build upon. And I think the more important thing is this was done within, I think, 10, 20 minutes. That's just incredible. So now if you want to use watsonx Code Assistant, play around with it, see how it can also help you in augmenting your productivity, you can use a 30-day free trial today. You don't need to put down a credit card, no payment needed. You can just scan the QR code or enter in this URL and go to our website. It's very simple. You can find out more information there. But I'll leave this on for, I guess, a few more seconds. But I also do want to say thank you for joining today. And hopefully you found it as engaging and interesting as I did. I mean, I love playing around with it. I had, I think, like 100-something sessions. So yeah, thank you.